All right, let's go through the process of using codecs. I am remoted into my Mac Mini. So let's start a new project. I'm going to call it the Lunduke Transcripts. So I've already created the folder. And let's plan together. So I always start my projects engaging the AI as a co-mind, a co-thinker, a journalist. I enjoy. I don't even need to tell him this, but I am. His YouTube videos, and I'd like to automate downloading the transcripts. I'm unfamiliar with this feature of YouTube. Here is further context. So this is the conversation on the Lunduke forum that spawned this request. Oh, crap. No. That was a copy-paste error. So let me come up here, copy. I'm just going to kill this because I've polluted the pen thread, reading thread, archive thread. We don't need that anymore. And let's start a new one. And let's, this time, not make a mistake copying and pasting from the Lunduke. Copy. Paste. All right. I'm using GPT 5.3 codecs through my ChatGPT Plus subscription. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Let me come over here and actually let me do init agent. Oh, actually, you know what? Init agent Lunduke. Hold on. It's in here. We have multiple computers. Sometimes it gets confusing. All right, so now I'm on my Mac Mini. We go to that same projects folder. This is why I don't do streaming, and I probably won't ever post this video because, all right, in an agent, that's what brings in my AgentFlow methodology. So now if I go to Lunduke, see now I have the agent's metadata, agent's markdown, project plan, all that stuff is preloaded. All right, so what's it saying here? You're right. I just loaded agents. Okay, so that does the lead workflow here. We are working on the project definition. Why don't you make a good first pass? I'd like to run the app we build at will or on a schedule. Have it identify new videos and bring down the transcripts. And any useful metadata that will allow future use, time and date, time, etc. Also, I'd like a exact transcript, and also a LM pass to clean up the transcript. Now the second one, Lunduke might not like, because I know that EGAD's using AI to do anything with his writings, but given that the transcript itself was also generated by AI, prettying it up a little bit, probably not a horrible thing. So the process is that you first define what you're trying to get done. So that's what the product definition is. This is the goal. And then after we do the goal, we're going to create the design for that goal. So let's take a quick look at that and see if we are aligned. So come in here and look for, where's my Lunduke? Here it is. And product definition. Run the app at will and fetch transcripts for new videos. Run automatically in the schedule without manual babysitting. Avoid duplicate work by identifying videos already processed. Yeah, this is a good list of things we want done. Then next step is create a design markdown to architect the solution. I'm fond of the Python tech stack, but if you think there is something significantly better, I'm open. The difference between this and vibe coding, it's a form of vibe coding if you want to use that word at all, is that somebody would have started with what we have up here. I want an app that does these things, and then go, and then let it go. Do it, right? And what I do is go through the steps that I would go through if I was building any software. I want to define what I'm trying to achieve. Now I want to design based on that. And then after we get this design, then we're going to go into sprint planning. So if I come over here, this is design, stack choice, Python, YT, okay, data modeling, validation, Pydantic, SQLite, this is good. All right, you may need to install some of these items. Do so now. We'll see if we can. Sometimes Codex can actually do this install. Sometimes they'll say, oh, I don't have rights to do that, in which case I would use Warp, the Warp terminal right here to do that. Yep, I did not have that already installed, so he's downloading that now. This is so nice. I love being able to talk my way through developing this stuff. Okay. Alter the product and design to accommodate the ability to run for a given date range. As an option. Because I might want to start out and just say, oh, do it for the last day or the last week. And then I might want to, work out all the bugs trying to do that. And then I might say, hey, do it for the last quarter or the last year or what have you. Okay, now create a sprint plan per AgentFlow. So a sprint plan breaks the accomplishment of the task into small testable pieces, and sometimes I'll still have the coding tool code for the entire sprint anyway, but having multiple steps in your sprint allows stopping points, testing points. This is not so sophisticated that I imagine there's going to be a lot of steps. But one of the things that my AgentFlow methodology accounts for, because I'm using a lot of $20 or even free tools, that I'll run out of bandwidth, and it'll allow me to pick up with another one because it keeps track of where I am, what I've done, what's up next. So if it craps out before it's done, you're not restarting completely from scratch. Oh, so it gave me 3 sprints. And then, so if we come over here, take a look, I'll now have, sorry, not lead claw. We are in, oh, I'm in the wrong computer. Let's go back over here. If I come in here and look up, I now have sprint plan. And it will see how these little boxes, as it does each of these things, it'll put a little checkbox so it'll know what it's done if I have to restart. And so now I'm just going to say execute all sprints according to the AgentFlow methodology. So the AgentFlow methodology is that we define the product definition, we design, and then we create the sprint plan. You code, you test, you fix your own bugs. Then you test as user, test as me. It doesn't always do a good job of that, but having that step in there is better than not. The whole point is that by the time it's done coding, when I try to run it, it shouldn't just have syntax bugs at that point. I'm going to end this video here. I'm sorry. And then after it's done with the code, test as me, update the documentation, including what I call is where am I? Let's see. I don't think he's done it yet, but I have a where am I document. This will tell me where I'm at in the project. Look, basic documentation is done. Scaffolded by a init agent. Oh, that's cute that it knew that. So this, at the end of each thing it does in the sprint, it will update the where am I, so I can always figure out how far along we are. Has it started doing any? Hasn't started checking these off yet. So anyway, it's going to code away. I'm not going to have you guys sit here and watch. But this is how I develop software. And then I have a review process, which I come over here, and I believe I have code review. Review only, no code changes. And then the rule, phase 0 is basically review my repo. Then phase 1, run project model checks. Check for format, run the linter, type check, tests, dependency vulnerability. So it's testing from that point of view. Then we're going to do a security review, identify trust boundaries, check for injection, all these things, assign severity, mark uncertain, correctness and reliability. So it's going to do a review based on these things. Check for performance and scalability, maintainability and design quality, tests and docs, phase 3, executive summary, overall health score. So this is a very comprehensive list of tests. So after it gets done coding, which it's going to code for, I don't know, half hour more, then I'll have it run the review. And I actually come into Codex Web, and by the way, I use a variety of tools. People don't have to use all the tools that I use, but part of that is I'm always learning and experimenting, but I really like this feature of ChatGPT. So I can come in here and I can pick one of my projects, pick what branch I'm working on, I'll paste in my code review, and I'll say, click go code, and it will do a review and come up with all these bugs it finds, etc. I'll take this, I'll feed it back into the AI, my coding AI, and I'll say, review the feedback, make a sprint plan to address the things that you think need to be addressed, and then I'll code it. And then I'll go back and review it. I'll do a couple rounds of that. So before I even get to where I'm going to try this out, I will have coded, reviewed, fixed bugs, reviewed again, fixed bugs. But ultimately, I got to run this code. I got to figure it out myself. And if you've done a lot of code, before you get to the point where you're running it yourself to see if it works, yeah, expect there to be some pain as you walk through the steps. But it's still so much faster than developing it all yourself. And I will end it at that. Hopefully I'll come back with a victory lap to show you working code. I don't know how to stop. Did I not record any of this? Alrighty, so we're back. When we left off, we had made the sprint plan, and then it said execute all sprints according to the AgentFlow methodology, which is code, test as user. So I wanted to try to be me so that I don't find bugs when I run it. Document, commit. So it chugged away all on its own, created all that, committed it to Git. And then I said, how can I run this app? So it tells me how I can run it. But I'm lazy, so I say, can you run it? And then I gave it Lunduke's channel. So it runs that. I take a look. I said, well done. Why am I being nice to my AI? I just am. It's who I am. So I'd like additional features. Take the exact markdown version and use a quality writer to turn it into a news journal article that is faithful to the text with timestamps at the paragraph level. And then I ask it if it had any thoughts about that. So it does it. Also, can you pull off the titles? Because it was not doing that. Is there metadata? So there is metadata. Can the data files be named with the title instead of some weird code, which is how it was done? So it fixes that. Did you put the code in for the LLM article version? If so, did you create an environment file to store the key? He hadn't done that yet. So I tell him to proceed, and so now he codes that in there. I need to enter in my OpenAI Open Router key, which I did. So I tell him to try it again. It runs. I said, you did awesome. Proud of you. I know. Yes, that's me. So what I would say to a person, so it's what I say to my AI. Now I'm being picky. Can you delete the data and start from scratch, and this time put the transcript times at the end of the paragraph? So it goes and does all that. Wonderful. Now do a run for the past week. It does that. We're almost there. Every video now says undated in the file name. I bet that's a mistake. It is. He fixes it. Now let's code review. So let me bring up. So I haven't revealed the cake for you yet, but by this time I have looked at the output, and it's what I want. So then I run a code review, and here's my list of all the things that I wanted to review on. So it's not just say the word code review. I'm very specific about all the different ways that I wanted to review the code, and it gives me an output. Then I take that and I give it to Codex here. And this is a discussion, so we talk about what he agrees, what he disagrees with the review, and then I agree with his. So create a sprint plan. It creates a sprint plan. I see proceed. So now it's fixing the things that the code review found. And some of you might say, but Lee, in none of this did you actually look at the code. And you're right. What I did do, though, was come into the output and start looking. So this is the California law story. And then if I go to the extract, so this is what YouTube gives you. And that's nice, but that's not reader friendly. So then it creates the article format. Here's a title, here's a paragraph. At the end of the paragraphs, it gives you the timestamp, so you know about where that material is. I didn't tell it to rewrite it in terms of, adding in narrative or, be a better writer than Lunduke is. But when you have the LLM do stuff, it's not deterministic, right? So there's always a chance that it's not perfect. But then again, the source is an AI generated transcript. So it's an AI of an AI. Sue me. I would rather read this article. But it just went for a whole week. That's all I ran it for, and pulled off the stories. You can run it for a time frame, or you could just run it and it will get anything that's new that you hadn't already downloaded. That's it. And, it took me maybe an hour to do this. The code is likely really good. I don't really care. I would care in other contexts, right? Don't confuse when I say I don't care about the code. I cared about the output. This was a utility, and I got the output. So if I come into here and look at the code, I might have opinions. But in this case, it's a utility for me. I'm not selling this. I'm not installing it at an enterprise. There's not going to be 100,000 users using it. It simply needed to create these files, which it did very, very well. And there you have it.